Hey there, everybody. Leading the movement for movement here, Autism Fitness founder Eric Chesson, and I have a Tuesday training video for you. But first, if you are not already an Autism Fitness Certified Pro, but you are a fantastic, motivated, highly effective professional or parent who is seeking the best possible strategies, structure, and made for you programming for the autism or neuroadaptive population, look no further than the Autism Fitness Level 1 certification. You can learn more about it and even register if you click the link in the description below for this video. So in this particular Tuesday training, a couple things. We're looking at an overhead press video. We're looking at some principles, strategies, and some concepts that I like talking about, but love actually seeing and demonstrating. When we talk about mastery and what it looks like for an athlete to become independent with an exercise, there's a little nuance in that area of mastery, especially with performance of exercise, because it's not always going to be perfect, and we're going to have some differences between athletes. What we're looking for is a level of performance where that skill is going to, or that exercise is going to build strength, stability, motor planning, strength, endurance, whatever movement quality is going to be the most important from that particular exercise. So within that, we do have a standard for performance wherein an athlete meets that level and they can perform the exercise independently. It doesn't mean that 100% of the time they're not going to need some additional cue or prompt. That's what we are there for as coaches. So the reason I love showing this is what it looks like in real life, as opposed to we're just going to talk about this conceptually and just go ahead and do it. Because there are some areas where we say, oh, look at this, look at what's going on here with this athlete, look at where the arm is, look at where the feet are, look at the speed and the control of that movement, and where do we need to go from here? What does it actually look like, and what can we pick out? And in the Autism Fitness Level 1 certification, we refer to this as know what you're looking at, and we break that down into physical, adaptive, and cognitive. So physically, what are we looking at with respect to the athlete being able to perform this exercise, not only to the best of their ability, but in comparison to what does it look like when it is mastered? And when it's mastered, it is likely to generalize to other areas of their living and lifestyle, so that we can have skill acquisition that enhances quality of life and independence. So here we go. Oops, forgot to share my screen here, but I'll fix that. Boom, there we go. So we got this guy who has been working very hard on his overhead presses. Where we started was a full physical guided prompt where my hands were actually on his hands and then on the sandbells, helping him to guide the exercise overhead. So my first goal was, sometimes the goal is getting the athlete to go through full range of motion and extend those arms all the way overhead in a healthy, full pattern, if they are physically capable of that, and if there are no other physiological obstacles there. And the second goal is to fade back. So I no longer want to be providing a physical prompt for this overhead press. I want to be able to bring my hands down, step back, and enable the athlete to perform the overhead press on his own. Here's the Easter egg. Mr. Happy Ball on the floor there has nothing to do with the overhead press, but I thought I'd point that out. So you can see here, I'm handing off the sandbells, and we do a little bit in the way of getting that grip just right in the beginning. And here, this has been, by the way, months and months of fading this prompt. So this is not always an immediate or fast process. This can be several or more sessions to get the athlete to the point where he feels, number one, confident with just holding the sandbells, and two, physiologically, he's not just pressing them up and down with abandon, where the exercise is not going to have a training effect. The key component in the physical aspect of training, because we are talking about physical training here, is that the athlete has sufficient control with pressing the sandbell up and then controlling it on the way down, that the exercise causes a training effect. That something beneficial from a muscular perspective actually happens. And from there, we see an approximation. So you'll see him go a little bit quickly with the press here. So we want to eventually, if we're talking about what is the next goal here, have him control the eccentric or lowering component or portion of that press. He's got really good extension pressing those sandbells up. We're here right now. Ultimately, we want to get to the point where he has much more control. And by that, if we're assigning an operational definition to it, where he has control in lowering the weights with 2 or 3 seconds, where at any point he can stop that movement and his grip and shoulders and upper back are controlling that movement. So it's a little what we would call bouncy right now, but he's getting it. So that one was way better. And now you see a little more control there. And this is why in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that this is not always a 100% linear process. So we may not see that all 10 repetitions are perfect right now, or that every repetition is exactly the same as the last. As the athlete continues to improve with better and better approximations of the ideal form of the standard, then he is going to continue to benefit from this exercise. So right now, on that ladder, we've taken another step up. I've been able to fade my physical prompt, and now he's got that grip. He's able to extend the arms fully overhead. And this is way improved from where we started out. And of course, he dumps the sandbells on the floor. So I want to come back to this and show one more time. So handing off the sandbells, step 1, he's got a pretty good grip. We always want all 5 fingers on the sandbells. That's the reason we use these also for the grip strengthening component. And the reason we have this circle down here, these are all like little things that are easy to miss, but they can all be the difference in an exercise being appropriate and effective for an athlete, or it just being something that we're doing. And we always want the former rather than the latter. All right. So handing off those sandbells, and now the first rep is a little bit iffy here, but then that second rep, full range of motion, you can see he's really dialed in to this movement. Now feet are flat on the floor, which is a big deal as well. So our next step here, now that I've been able to step back a little bit and fully fade that prompt, the next step here is going to be to work on controlling that lowering phase, or the eccentric of the press. So in this, we're not always looking at a significantly modified or a significantly progressed variation of an exercise. Much of the time in our athletes' training, we live there in that halfway point between being able to fade a physical prompt and the athlete performing the exercise to full standard, where there's control throughout the movement. So in this situation, I may have to step back in and prompt it at some point. And then we have a couple processes and practices that we can use. We can use the counting versus no counting rule, which is highly effective. That's something that you get in the level 1 certification. The key is there is always a goal to be met, and then another goal after that. So the next thing that we're going to work on with this athlete is controlling that eccentric component of the press. But what a major victory there, and something that's really cool to see over time, is that he understands what the expectation for performance is. He has a feel for the exercise now, and it's at a point where he's going to start benefiting from a strength and stability standpoint. And we're going to see this generalized to other areas of his life. And that is exactly what we're doing when we're integrating fitness programs into the lives of the autism and neuroadaptive population. So that being said, if this has been important and educational for you. Please like and subscribe to The Autism Fitness here on YouTube. Share it with others who may benefit from this. And if you are ready to become one of the proud, one of the effective, one of the advanced Autism Fitness Certified Pros, again, link is in the description below. I'm Eric Chesson, founder of Autism Fitness, leading the movement for movement. Thank you for watching.